Let's take a look at how summary statistics change when a distribution changes, such as when you add something to every number in a list or multiply every number in a list by the same thing. So here we have the distribution we've been using, 4, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 22. And now we have another distribution in green here where we've added 10 to each number. So 4 becomes 14, 9 becomes 19, and so forth. So what we want to see is how do the mean, the standard deviation, median, IQR, and range, 5 numbers that we're going to use quite a bit, how do these values change when we do this? In red, I already have the values that we calculated earlier. But now let's go ahead and do the same thing for the numbers in green. So we can clear our screen. We can go over to the Stat, Edit. We go up if we have data in there, and we clear our list and hit Enter. So now we have a fresh list to start with, and we plug in all the values in this new list of numbers that we have right here, so that we can go ahead and do our one variable stats on this list of numbers also. Once we have all the numbers in, we go to the Stat key again, we go over to Calc, and on one of our stats we click Enter. By the way, if I go too fast, you can always see all the keys I pressed by following the key press history over here on the left. When this is flashing up on the screen, or when you have some options on the screen, we push Enter one more time to bring up the list of values. I'm going to go ahead and drag this over here, and then I'm going to scroll down and drag these values over so that we can reference them more easily. Oops. So let's take a look at, for the green distribution, what our values are. The mean, X bar here, is 22. So we can write that in 22. Standard deviation, we always look at SX, 5.507. We round that to 5.51. So that actually is going to stay the same as the other list. Interesting. Our median, MED, is 22. So the median has changed. The IQR, we take our quarter 3 minus our quarter 1. So 24 minus 19, that one's going to stay the same also, so that one's going to be 5. And then our range is going to be our maximum minus our minimum. So 32 minus 14. And if you work that one out, it's going to come out to 18. So looking at this list, when we add something, when we add the same thing to every number, the standard deviation, the interquartile range, and the range do not change. They stay the same. However, the mean and median, they changed. In fact, the mean went up by 10, so did the median. That happened because we added 10 to everything, so the average should go up by 10, and we added 10 to the middle number, so the middle number should go up by 10. So that makes sense. But the standard deviation, the IQR, and the range all are measures of spread, how far apart the numbers are. And if we added something to everything, the numbers aren't any farther apart from each other than they were before. So that's why those three values did not change. Now let's take a look at what happens when you multiply all numbers by a common thing. And here I chose -3 just to show you that it doesn't matter if it's a positive or a negative number, the behavior is going to be the same. So we take out our calculator, we can go to our Stat, Edit to enter in this new list. We clear our old one by pushing up, pushing clear, and pushing Enter. And now we're going to type in all of these values. Once they're all typed in, we go to Stat, we go over to Calc, hit Enter again, and here comes our one variable stats. I'm going to again drag these in so that we have quick access to all these numbers. We always click the down arrow to scroll down and see the results near the bottom. So now let's go ahead and do some quick calculations on these values. Our mean, X bar, we can write in right away. That's going to be -36. So that's a little bit different than what we had here. Our standard deviation, SX, is going to be 15.52 if we round off. So 15.52. Our median, down here, -36, And then our interquartile range is going to be quarter 3 minus quarter 1. If you do that, you'll have negative 27 minus negative 42. This might be a calculator one. Otherwise, you're going to notice that they are 15 apart from each other, and the answer will end up being positive. And then the last one, the range, we look at the maximum minus the minimum. So the maximum minus a negative, and that's going to end up giving us 54. Now, you'll notice every one of the numbers has changed when we multiplied everything by this common ratio, this negative 3 here. The average is negative 3 times what the average was before. Makes sense. If you multiply everything by negative 3, the average is going to be negative 3 times what that was. Jumping down to the median, same thing. You take your middle number and multiply that by negative 3, it's going to get you negative 36. So that's why your median is also exactly the same as it was before. The three measures of spread are interesting. They all followed the same pattern. They multiplied by 3. So here, 5.51 roughly multiplied by 3 with a little bit of rounding error is going to be 15.52. 5 times 3 is 15. 18 times 3 is 54. What happens is if you multiply everything, the numbers actually get farther apart from each other. So here, it was only 4 over to 22. They're pretty close. But when you multiply them by some big number, they're going to get farther apart. These numbers are no longer as close to each other, but they stay the same ratio. So the real trick to this lesson here is that if you are adding something to all numbers, they are as spread apart as they were before. The standard deviation, IQR, and range do not change. The mean and median will go up or down by whatever number you add or subtract. When you multiply by something, that factor that you multiplied by will affect all the measures of center, the mean and median, and spread, the standard deviation, interquartile range, and range. So all the numbers are affected by that multiple. If it's negative, the negative has nothing to do with it, with the measures of spread, but it will affect the mean and median.